Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnupada Brahmamsa Purvajachari Ashtotrishatri Shishmad Svangay Sesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the Son of Devotees. All glories to the Son of Devotees. All glories to the Son of Devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Fourth Canto, Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 24, chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva, text 24 and 25. Tarya Heva Sarasas, what is it? Tarya Eva Sarasastasman Nishkramantam Sahanugam Bhagiyamanam Amara Pravaram Vibhudanugai Taryeva Sarasastasman Nishkramantam Sahanugam Upagyamanam Amara Pravaram Vibhudanugai Taryeva Sarasastasman Nishkramantam Sahanugam Upagyamanam Amara Pavaram Vibhudanugai Tehemanikaya Abhyam Stiti Kantam Shilochanam Prasada Sumukam Shya Pranamor Jatakautukaha. Okay. Tarhi. In that very moment. Eva. Certainly. Sarasahaha. From the water. Tasmat. Therefrom. Nishkramantam. Coming out. Saha Anugam. Accompanied by great souls. Upagiyamana. Glorified by the followers. Amra Pravaram. The chief of the demigods. Vibhuta Anugayi. Followed by his associates. Alright, we'll keep on going. Taptahema. Molten gold. Nikaya Abam. Bodily features. Shiti Kantam. Blue throat. Trilochanam. With 3 eyes. Prasada. Merciful. Sumukam. Beautiful face. Viksha. Seen. Prenemuhu. Offered obeisances. Jata. Aroused. Kautukaha. Being amazed by the situation. Translation. The Prachetas were fortunate to see Lord Shiva, the chief of the demigods, emerging from the water with his associates. His bodily luster was just like molten gold. His throat was bluish, and he had 3 eyes, which looked very mercifully upon his devotees. He was accompanied by many musicians who were glorifying him. As soon as the Prachetas saw Lord Shiva, they immediately offered their obeisances in great amazement and fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord. Purport. The word Vibhudanugayi indicates that Lord Shiva is always accompanied by the denizens of the higher planets known as Gandharvas and Kinnaras. They are very expert in musical science, and Lord Shiva is worshipped by them constantly. In pictures, Lord Shiva is generally painted white, but here we find that the color of his skin is not exactly white, but like molten gold, or a glowing yellowish color. Because Lord Shiva is always very, very merciful, his name is Ashutosh. Amongst all the demigods, Lord Shiva can be pacified even by the lowest class of men, who need only offer him obeisances and leaves of a bel tree. Thus his name is Ashutosh, which means that he is pleased very quickly. Generally, those who are very fond of material prosperity approach Lord Shiva for such benediction. The Lord, being very merciful, quickly awards all the blessings the devotee asks of him. The demons take advantage of this leniency and sometimes take benedictions from Lord Shiva, which can be very dangerous to others. For instance, Vikasura took a benediction from Lord Shiva, by which he could kill everyone he touched on the head. Although Lord Shiva sometimes very liberally gives such benedictions to his devotees, the difficulty is that the demons, being very cunning, sometimes want to experiment improperly with such benedictions. For instance, after receiving his benediction, Rikasura tried to touch the head of Lord Shiva. Devotees of Lord Vishnu, however, have no desire for such benedictions. Lord Vishnu does not give his devotees benedictions which would cause disturbance to the whole world. Kam Karivachalam Pangam Langai take it immediately Patamaham Vandesh, Grundi Taranam Vancha, Kapadribishta, Kripa, Sindhu Bevacha, Patitanam Pavanebio, Vaishnavebio Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So read the translation again. The Prachetas were fortunate to see Lord Shiva, the chief of the demigods, emerging from the water with his associates. His bodily luster was just like molten gold. His throat was bluish, and he had 3 eyes, which looked very mercifully upon his devotees. He was accompanied by many musicians who were glorifying him. As soon as the Prachetas saw Lord Shiva, they immediately offered their obeisances in great amazement and fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord. So Shiva has 3 eyes. Do any of you recall that? I mean, in seeing pictures of Shiva, him having 3 eyes? Really? You recall?
Yeah, it's not in our book. I don't think in our book, right?
Oh yeah. Where is the? Right here? Right here. So it's like 1, 2, 3, like this. 1 in the middle. Interesting. I guess not in our book, BBT books. I don't remember seeing 3 eyes. But it says he has 3 eyes here. And generally, you think, oh, 3 eyes. That's not very, kind of not very attractive, right? That's what someone generally think. It's kind of. But it says here that Shiva was very, very attractive. Bodily luster like molten gold. His throat was bluish. He had 3 eyes, which looked very merciful upon his devotees. His 3 merciful eyes. And oh, really? Parvati has 3 eyes. Oh, okay. Wow. As soon as Prachetas saw Lord Shiva, they immediately offered their obeisance in great amazement and fell down to the lotus feet of the Lord. So Shiva, Lord Shiva is Ashutosh, very easily pleased, and he's very attractive, a very attractive personality. And as we hear from our Vaishnava scriptures, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, he is the greatest Vaishnava, greatest devotee. Of course, if you read, Shiva scriptures or Shiva Puran or something like that, or books glorifying Lord Shiva, they'll say he's supreme. But anyways, so Vaishnava Yata Shambhu. So he is the greatest devotee, and therefore he's attractive. Pure devotees are attractive because they're connected to the most attractive personality, all attractive personality, Krishna. Krishna, this supreme personality of Godhead, and therefore they're also very attractive. Because when they're connected with Krishna, that means by nature a devotee, a pure devotee, and devotee, they are acting as representatives of Krishna. In other words, they're standing for what Krishna stands for, so to say. In that Krishna is supremely merciful, right? Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bandhu, Jagatpate. He's a friend of the fallen, right? Ocean of mercy, Karuna Sindhu, ocean of mercy, so much mercy. So similarly, devotees, Vancha kalpadrubhishcha kripa sindhu bevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vancha kalpadrubhishcha kripa sindhu. Yeah, kripa sindhu, also an ocean of mercy. Devotees are also ocean of mercy, and also a friend of the fallen, just like Krishna. So that's what's being spoke about so many times within the Bhagavad Gita, so many times, especially the Bhagavatam and other Vaishnava literatures, is that one should become a devotee, and one should stand for what Krishna stands for. One should become Krishna-like, or godly. Not God, but godly. So Shiva is like that. He is in a very special category, his own category, right? Shiva Tattva. Nor is he a Jiva, nor is he Krishna. He's in the Shiva Tattva. So, quite an amazing personality. And somehow or other, his followers, so many of them are low class. Like Prabhupada mentions here, Vrikasura. Very low class personality. In that, right, what was he doing? We've heard this for the 3rd time in the last week. He was cutting his flesh and then offered into the fire, right? offering to the fire, offering. And eventually he wanted to cut his own head off and offer it to the fire. I don't know how exactly that works, but kind of mode of ignorance thing. This is mode of ignorance. Yeah, that's not easy. There's a nice picture in our Krishna book, 10th canto of this, Vrikasura and Shiva coming. So Shiva's thinking, okay, I have to help this fool. I have to help this rascal. And somehow or other, Shiva, being Ashutosh, easily pleased and merciful, somehow or other he gives these benedictions. And so this demon, Asura, Vrikasura, asks for the benediction. I want the benediction that whoever's head I touch, it explodes. So Shiva said, okay, so be it. Something like that. He said, okay, fine. So he gave him the benediction. And then this demon, Asura, being in the mode of ignorance and being not a real devotee of Shiva ultimately, he said, okay, now I'm going to touch your head. He wanted to touch Shiva's head. And as Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book, I'm not sure if it's in the Bhagavatam, maybe it's in the Bhagavatam, because sometimes acharyas, Srila Prabhupada and like Vishnu Chakravati Thakur, some of the acharyas, they add things or they give us insights into Krishna's pastimes that weren't there. They have the power to do that, apparently. So it may be in the 10th canto, may not be, but Prabhupada puts in the Krishna book that this demon Asura, Vrikasura, he wanted to enjoy with Parvati, he wanted to kill Shiva and take his wife, practically. So Shiva was running, and then Vishnu, he runs to Vishnu, and then and he said, explains the problem, and Krishna, Vishnu, he appears in the form of a very beautiful Brahmin boy. And as it's always been, and probably will always been, people are very attracted, very amused, very enthralled by little, children. Enthralled means, melts their heart, right? Little, oh, look at anyways. So he came as a young boy, Krishna, and then he was saying that, what was he saying? What was he saying? You want to give him the mic so you could. I think Dravida Prabhu is a good person to say what Vishnu said.
He was saying, take it easy. You're straining your body too much. You should take care of it as much. And that was very appealing to him. And so he got his attention, and then he could ask him, what are you doing? Why are you here? Why are you running so hard? And he complained, that this Shiva has given me some kind of benediction, and I just wanted to try it out on him, and he's not cooperating, Shiva? Everyone knows that his benedictions are bogus. It's just a scam, He gets all these offerings. He didn't ask him what he was offering. And anyway, he convinced him that it wasn't going to, it was obviously not going to, and you can just try it on yourself, you'll see. He tried it on himself and bang, his head.
When it doesn't work,
yeah, we'll go together. Yeah. Anyway, he split his head open.
He had to try him on himself. Wow, amazing. Krishna is a supreme convincer, right? Within the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, so many literatures, he's convincing the conditioned souls will be Krishna conscious and develop a relation with him. He's a supreme convincer, very charming. So he got this one too, Vrikasura. So the followers. So Shiva, he's such a great personality, and part of his mercy is that he's merciful to low class people, to his followers, and this is a good lesson because as if one practices Krishna consciousness, then just as it says in that song about the six Goswamis, it says that they were attractive to everyone, the ruffians and the gentle. The six Goswamis, everybody, they loved them. so sometimes and often when one practices Krishna consciousness, they may attract people, and the people may want their association, may want their guidance, may want their help, which is natural and which is good, and Krishna wants us to do that. He wants us to help people by guiding them and teaching them and encouraging them. Nothing wrong with that. But the example we get from Shiva is that even though he had very low-class followers, he didn't become infected or affected by them negatively. In other words, his spiritual position was never compromised by their association. Which is actually quite challenging, because all throughout the world, in every religion throughout the world, this is a problem actually, that the priests, the gurus, the leaders of religions, they, due to associating with their followers who come with them with so many problems, so many issues, the leaders become affected by them, by their association, negatively, very negatively, all throughout the world. So it's actually a danger. Just like some examples, there was within Catholicism, it's a big thing to go and confess. That's a really big thing. Right? Every week you confess your sins, and you get some. You're free from your sinful reactions. You get some. You may say do whatever 100 Hail Marys or something like that. And there is something to confession. Of course, Prabhupada would say, okay, confess, but then you should engage in a process by which you could get free from the desire to do the sin in the first place. That's the problem. If you're just confessing, and not having a process that will free you from the desire in the first place, or you just keep on doing it, Prabhupada said it's like an elephant bathing. Elephant bathes, comes out, rolls on the dirt, and then it's dirty again. So, but there is something to confession. I mean, there's something there. So anyways, there was a priest, and one of his duties is to hear people. It's very difficult, actually. I don't know how they do that. I don't know if I could. It's like holy and solely, that's what they do. They sit there, and of course there's a screen. So I believe, there's a screen, but that means, you can't, you could see the person, the priest could see the person, I believe. No? Oh, really? I thought the priest could see the person, but the person can't see the priest. Okay, they can't hear each other. Okay, all right. All right. So, there was this case where a priest was hearing somebody, and she was a woman, and apparently somehow or other he knew who she was. I mean, her voice coming to the church and so on, local church that she would come to regularly. So, and she would come and confess regularly about her lusty affairs and her, having difficulty with that, and sleeping around or whatever. And so this priest started getting affected. He also started developing desires, lusty desires, and specifically, as far as I remember, he went off with her as well. So that's an example, one example, and that's just one. There's how many examples do you want? I mean, we could go on. We could write a Purana, how many examples there are. There's also this other example of a man, and he was a famous. I mean, he happens to be a Christian also. So I don't mean to be focusing on Christians or something, but he happened to be a Christian as well. And he was very God conscious, and he even became so God conscious that he started developing some mystic powers. I mean, not necessarily that mystic powers and God consciousness go together, but he's a very powerful person. And he started to get a lot of fame and followers. And at one particular point, he was off in some retreat by himself in a cabin, and it was just like in the movies, right? Rainy, stormy night, and some young, attractive woman came to the door, and she wanted some shelter from the storm. And the guy said, "Okay, you could come in here and stay in the separate room, right?" But again, this fellow, some really strong desires were attacking him. Still, the desire wasn't removed from his heart, and he was thinking, "Oh, how am I going to?" And what he did is he went into the other room, and he cut off one of his fingers. So, came to his senses. Cut off one of your fingers, and of course, that's not the recommended process for us. I mean, I don't, some brahmachari, has to go to the hospital the next few days, and I heard the class, and hey, what happened to your finger? Yeah, I have a question here. Excuse me. So that's not the recommended process, but he did that. So he was saved from that, you could say, and he became even more famous, right? You do stuff like that, oh wow, he's really, he's ready to do so many things to get free from these desires, right? He became even more famous. So then some time passed, and there was a man, and he brought his, I don't know what they say nowadays. Sorry, what's the correct? Somebody's. Yeah, was that the?
Mentally handicapped.
What's the correct term nowadays?
Mental retardation, mental handicap.
Slow? Is that the? Okay, slow. All right, slow person. Okay. So some are saying mentally handicapped, slow. Okay, well, anyways, we can look into that. So this father brought the daughter there, the father wanted this Christian mystic fellow to cure her. So she was left there apparently, and yeah, the guy, he fell down with her. That was So yeah, this just goes to show, so many examples of how the desire, and that's just whatever it happens to be, examples of like say sexual examples, but there's so many ways in which people can become bewildered if the desire is not removed, based on the association of their followers. Just like sometimes, sometimes you hear that devotees become overwhelmed. They have a lot of people who are depending on them. They're getting a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, a lot of in person. I have this problem, I have that problem. Just like His Holiness Radhanath Swami, when he was visiting Dravida Prabhu at his house, Dravida Prabhu was making the comment to Radhanath Swami, "Oh Maharaj, everybody likes you so much." And Maharaj was, in this particular occasion, he said this. On other occasions, he could have said different things, just like when Prabhupada said, "Oh, Prabhupada, everybody likes you so much." Prabhupada said, "Because I like everybody, or I love everybody." But in this particular occasion, His Holiness Radhanath Swami said, "Oh yeah, everybody likes me so much." Maharaj said, "Everybody likes a dumpster, and which is pretty interesting comment that he was making, in the sense that he was implying, I take it, that people come to him as they come to many leaders, and my wife, as Bhajanarayan Swami says, my wife, my life, my strife, whatever. So many problems they come, kind of like a dumpster. You got a lot of garbage problems, and come and load it off, So if one's not strong, that could actually be very, very difficult. We hear about that. Devotees say, "Oh yeah, all of my followers and disciples, they were just overloading me up to the point I couldn't take it anymore. So I kind of laxed on my sadhana and this and that, and now I'm just giving up. I'm what do they call that? Resigning. My guruhood, I'm resigning. I'm done with this. I'm out of here. And it's not funny, but it's too bad. So I'm bringing this up because we may say that, okay, well, I'm not some big guru, some big priest, some leader, something. But everybody here, I suspect, we have people who come to us with their problems, with their issues, and sometimes it may be random people that. It's not like we go around asking for people to come to us, but they tell us stuff, and some of this stuff is quite, it's quite disturbing, actually. So how are we supposed to deal with that? And Shiva is a great example that, despite all of his, just imagine hang out with ghosts and goblins and Vrikasura and people like that. You have a bunch of people like that around you. It could be quite challenging. So he's a great example. In that he's just Krishna conscious. He's always meditating on, who's he meditating on? Sankarshan. Sankarshan, yeah. He's always meditating. And Sankarshan consciousness. So yeah, it's a great example for us. And just like Sankirtan devotees go out, it could be very disturbing to go out, actually, if you're not properly situated. If you're not Krishna conscious. Just like people come up to you. Of course, for some people it's not a big deal, Hey man, you want a joint? For some devotees it's not really a big deal. Like, that's not the last thing I want. That's not even the last thing. That's not even on the list. That's just like garbage, Like some people it's not a problem, but for some devotees it is, actually. It's not that they're free from that. They're kind of like, man, that's, it smells good, it kind of looks good. I remember how I used to engage in that, and, so just like even devotees, sorry to bring up, but even devotees, you're not even out on Sankirtan. Again, sorry to bring up, but we were having our, Govardhan family picnic, I guess. And one of the brahmacharis, this was many, many, many years ago, so one of the brahmacharis, bhaktas, he went out into the parking lot, and one of the new Govardhan family members, apparently they were lighting up out there, smoking ganja. And then, they asked him, he was living in the temple, he told me later, but they asked him, hey, would you like? And he said, yeah, sure. And, he had it there. So smoked weed there. So, whether you're on Sankirtan and devotees, certain things come up, I was out at Balboa Park, and people were there. It was Balboa Park Earth Day. It means it's around 420, which is the day where everybody just, lays around and gets stoned. Especially on that day. So I was going past this group, and there's some women there, some men there, and yeah, I won't tell you what the woman said to me. I can't say it. It's I'm not going to. It's too disturbing, and in the temple and all that, even outside the temple, I won't say what she told to me. But it was really gross, very gross. I was just shocked. I was like, wow, this person's like shameless. And then later what she said to me is she said, oh, I thought you're a real man, going out to, conquer the world. I don't know what she's talking about. And I was thinking later, yeah, that's the problem, People are, real men, real women going out to conquer the world, right? That's the Purusha problem. Big enjoyers of this material world, but we're actually servants of Krishna, not that we're like, going out to divide and conquer and, maybe in Kshatriya times for good purposes, but how people do it nowadays, we're not into that. That's not our policy. That's like Hiranyakashipu policy. So, and just as Shiva, again, such a great example of a devotee, how does he stay situated on the platform? He follows the process of Krishna consciousness, just as we're advised to. And specifically, well, Shiva's like the head of a sampradaya, so to say he's following parampara, I mean, he's like the head, so. But he's setting the parampara in motion, and everybody follows. But he's, yeah. So we follow parampara. We follow the disciplic succession. Just like Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, he advises we engage in the morning program. That's parampara. That's his guru did that, and this is what devotees do. And it's not that we like graduate from the morning program or something. Like, oh yeah, I heard the Bhagavatam, class a few times, and now I'm like graduated. But this is, or Tulsi, I sang the Tulsi song, right? But this is actually, this program is for the most advanced. And you could say it's for the new bhaktas coming in, and it's for the most advanced. Why? Because these are eternal. These are what liberated souls do. They hear the Bhagavatam, they worship Tulsi, they engage in these different processes. So we're very much into parampara, following the disciplic succession, doing what they want us to do. Not like nowadays, so many, upstarts, right? Upstarts, or so many people come on the scene and they try to say, oh, I'm a guru, and like the self-made gurus. Prabhupada didn't like that. Or just like very famous nowadays, everybody and their mother at least has heard of the book, probably, Autobiography of a Yogi, right? Yogananda. So many people have heard of that book. I mean, I wish we could have our Swami in a Strange Land biography of Prabhupada. Everybody hears about that. That'd be great. But in that book it says, Yogananda had a guru who had a guru who had a guru who had a guru who had a guru. And it goes to a particular point where one of those gurus started off in a cave. Like, he didn't have a guru. Just like a cave. So we're into disciplic succession. Guru, 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 guru. Krishna. Right? Or, right, Sri Sampradaya, so many Sampradayas. And that is the way of success. So yeah, the conclusion is that we may not follow Shiva in every way. In other words, we may not be like one of his followers per se, but we should follow his example of Vaishnava Yata Shambhu, of being the greatest devotee, of course, serving him by, you could say, being merciful to unfortunate persons in the way that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted us to be merciful. Transcendental book distribution, transcendental Harinam Sankirtan, trying to propagate the message of Krishna. All right, so does anybody have any?
Madhusudan Prabhu had a comment.
Alrighty.
Madhusudan Prabhu.
Madhusudan Prabhu.
He says, so it appears Lord Shiva's actual bodily color is like molten gold. When he came out from the water must have washed off the ashes, which are whitish, that he's normally seen with. That's all he says.
That's an interesting. That's Oh yeah. Because Prabhupada says white, he's usually seen as whitish, but in this case he's gold. Gold is molten gold. And then Madhusudan Prabhu is saying that the white come from ashes, which makes sense. and he's coming out of water, so it's gold. I mean, he could be one of the personalities who, right? Sometimes gold, sometimes blue, sometimes, right? What, depending on the, the mood. Okay.
It turns out that the Shivas in our books are painted with a third eye.
Oh.
But what we don't expect is that third eye is vertical.
What?
Vertical. It's not like another eye, like 1, 2, 3. It's 1, 2, 3.
Mm.
And you look closely at the paintings and you'll see that vertical eye. It blinks this way.
Interesting. Why another eye?
The third eye,
That's right.
because he's awakened. He also has 3 eyes, but
Oh,
we
you've seen
generally
him.
we really don't see him with 3 eyes.
Wow. Anyways.
The third eye is the eye of enlightenment.
So, is any other questions or comments?
You were talking about how strong he has to be because he has to associate with all of these low lifes and still states.
Yeah, it's like really difficult.
So one thing I remember Prabhupada describing, he's the epitome. He's the example for Dhira. The person with Parvati was coming, and trying to agitate him. He wasn't agitated, and the only time he wasn't was with Mohini Murti,
Yeah.
where he actually requested that. He wanted to see that form, and then he got more than he bargained for.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he's, imperturbable, so he doesn't get affected by his associates.
Yeah, Prabhupada says in the Shri Upanishad about Dhira, he says he calls the Dhiras the undisturbed authorities. And he says, how do you become Dhira? He said you have to hear from the Dhiras, those who are undisturbed. So here, we get the nice opportunity of hearing the Bhagavatam, which personalities are speaking here, right? Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. We're going to have Shiva Uvacha. I don't know what they're going to say. Shankar Uvacha or something. So these are great personalities that are speaking in the Bhagavatam, and if we hear them and devotees who are following them, then we could also become undisturbed in this world, which is actually a very valued thing. Most valued, being undisturbed. I mean, people really, nowadays, right, like what's going on, people could appreciate, wow, this person's undisturbed. So, therefore, right, nityam bhagavata sevaya, we have to, every day, hear the Bhagavatam, every day. So, all right?
One more.
All right.
Just the idea of Dhira, how important it is, right at the beginning of the instructions of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. If you'll note, you have the Deyinosman, Mata Sparsha, and then the next verse says how being Dhira is essential to getting liberation. Yam hina badiyante te purusham purusha samadukha sukham dhiram somitadvaya kalpate. That all these dualities, happiness and distress, come and go, that you're supposed to be tolerant of. If you're not, then there's no chance of being liberated. So one who is able to tolerate these and still remain equipoised, then you're eligible for liberation. That's a prerequisite, so to speak. So he's the example.
So tolerate, huh?
Yeah. Dhira, remain equipoised. It's also in Deyinosman, the Dhira, the sober mind, self-control.
So what is it? You could say if someone was to ask us, like, oh, you say that there's all these, like, it says, for example, Vacho Vegam, Manaso Kroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Dorapasta Vegam, Etan Vegam, Yovishahet Dhira, Sarvam, Epimam, Pitivim, Shishishya. So it says one who could tolerate the urges of the tongue, belly, genitals, mind, senses, anger, they could become guru and make disciples all over the world. So when I say tolerate it, if someone was asked, of course there's a purport there, Prabhupada goes into it, but if someone was to ask, what does it mean tolerate? Like, okay, they're there, but you're able to tolerate them. And how do you tolerate them? Because it doesn't say that one whose sense urges have disappeared. It doesn't say it, someone who's tolerating them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the idea is there's a certain stage there where all of these urges, which we all are going to experience. Speaking nonsense and the tongue, belly, genitals, the mind certainly gives something. So it may come, but it's just like it says in the Gita. It's just like an ocean. These rivers are flowing in, but the ocean's undisturbed. Now you also understand that the great devotees, the urges aren't there anymore. That the seeds are burned out. It's like Yadavadi Mama Chaita Krishna. If you think of it, you don't get attracted, you get disgusted. That's that verse. But at least this is a foundational stage. And what's so valuable about this, you can see it. This is something you can see. If someone is talking nonsense and all of, these other urges are obvious, and the prospective disciple who's looking for someone says, "Oh, not this person." Whereas you can't really see whether they're being bothered by the urges or not. So that's a important caveat. That's my understanding.
The desires will come, sexual desire, whatever. When you chant Hare Krishna, you get a higher desire, serve Krishna. It goes away. You read Prabhupada's books, it goes away. So you just tolerate it, change your mindset, and you go on, you get over it.
Yeah. I was thinking, my spiritual master, when he was there in Juhu as a young man, there's this time where a devotee was really upset with him because my spiritual master was the temple president and he wasn't giving him the funds. He wasn't giving him the funds to make a garden like Prabhupada told him. Prabhupada wanted this devotee to make a garden. So, it's Narnarayan. And so he became very upset with my spiritual master. He was really, really heated with him. He was kind of... So then what he did is just, with his spit, just right in his face. And my spiritual master, he says that at that point he just started chanting really loud, Hare Krishna, at the top of his... And he said that Lokanath Swami, who was a bhakta at that time, and he said he was kind of sensitive by nature and kind of, soft-hearted by nature. He saw this all happen, and he said that he just fainted. So they got Lokanath Swami, and Narnarayan, my guru's face. And but my spiritual master said first of all, for him not to react, just to chant. A lot of people wouldn't do more than just chant, for him just to chant, and then he said, "Oh yeah, I didn't hold a grudge towards him because I knew that he was just trying to serve Prabhupada, and but he was kind of lost his temper or something." And lastly, the thing, Mr. Nair, he was trying to, do so many things to sabotage the property, the devotees, cut the lot. Anyways, it's a long story, but one time, Mr. Nair, he came in a car to pick up my spiritual master to take him to meet a lawyer or something. And my spiritual master said, I was a young man. He's 24 years old. He's very intimidated by Mr. Nair. He's really big personality in Bombay and, powerful, material Shakti and all that. So then he said that, so he picked him up, and my guru sat in the back seat, and Mr. Nair was in the back seat. And there was a woman in the middle, some attractive woman in the middle seat. And, Mr. Nair arranged that. Really weird, but... And this woman, she put her hand on my spiritual master's leg, and, started going up his leg. And then my spiritual master, at the time, he said, I was 24, and my mind and senses, he used the word tizzy. We're in a tizzy. And he was thinking to himself that for his own self, he was, they have an idea caution to the wind, throwing caution to the wind. For his own self, he was thinking of, just giving in, But he said that, then he thought of Prabhupada. And he thought, how can I let Prabhupada down? How can I this will scar Prabhupada, this will scar the Hare Krishna movement in India, so how can I let him down? And then he said that he realized that he actually loved Prabhupada more than he loved his own self, you know. So, I mean, he had affection for Prabhupada more than he had affection for his own self. And later on, I don't know, I didn't get the details, but yeah. Later on, he said that he found out that she was a well-known prostitute within Bombay at the time. And he said, because of that, obviously he was, you know, by all means avoiding her. Although he said that sometimes Mr. Nair would send her apparently to the property, looking for him. But he said he would, go hi. So, anyways, so I was just thinking about Dira, Dira. It's been fixed, and so, all right. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.